Meat City, baby.
Hello and welcome back to Meat City Gaming. JD here with my final video in the Banner Saga, the first entry in the Banner Saga trilogy. And for this final video, we are going to be doing our 1000 Gamerscore report, where we discuss the achievements specifically, how difficult they are, whether if you're just looking at this game from an achievement standpoint, is it one that you should pursue or is it one that you should skip? And so very briefly, what is the Banner Saga? Well, I have videos doing a whole playthrough of the hard difficulty, so you can get a much more in-depth view if you check out those videos. But very briefly speaking, the game has two main components, two main parts to it. There is an overstory with a side-scrolling map where your characters kind of move along, and all you really have to do is make dialogue choices while they traverse a path. And those dialogue choices definitely matter. They can absolutely result in the death, and I do mean permadeath, of characters for the entire trilogy. So a decision that you make in a dialogue box, picking between choice A and choice B, can mean the difference between whether you have one of the most powerful characters in the game all the way in the final fight of the third game. So that is really, really interesting and cool, and not something we get to experience a whole lot in games these days. The second part of the game, and probably the more substantial part of the game, are the battle maps. Every so often, there will be a battle. When you get to a certain point on that side-scrolling map, an event will pop up and you'll go into battle. And those battles are grid-based, they're squares, and it is turn-based. You, as the good guys, get to take a turn, and then the enemy gets to take a turn, and each of your characters alternate. So character A will go on your team, enemy number 1 will go on their team. Character B will take a turn for your team, enemy 2 will go. Then your character 3, enemy 3, and so on, back and forth throughout the battle. And it's fine. It's number-based combat. There's very little RNG involved. It's not so much the XCOM version where your attack has an 80 to 90% chance to hit, and then it always seems to roll to 0%. Almost every single strike, if the numbers add up, like you'll know, my attack is 12, his armor is 10, I will hit, and I will hit for 2 points of damage. And it's very reliable. There is one slight circumstance where RNG comes into play, but it's not worth mentioning right now for this video. By and large, the combat is reliable, number-based, and predictable. And it's also a lot of fun. And it's also very challenging. So from that standpoint, can't complain. Loved both parts of the game. I thought it was very satisfying. Okay, so let's dive into the achievements for this game. Specifically, we are looking at 39 total achievements for a total gamer score of 1,000 points. And there is no DLC in this game, so you have the base game, you get the 1,000 points, you get the 39 achievements, you are done with no additional work required. Total time for this, it can vary a little bit depending on how efficient you want to be, but you're looking at about roughly 25 hours, plus or minus a good 5 based on how you approach the game itself. There are no collectible achievements. There's no hunting around, no going to an overmap, no looking in nooks and crannies. Again, it is just making dialogue choices and participating in battles, and they are very kind of static in a way. So there's not a lot of hunting and finding and no collectible-based achievements. There is no online component to this game. There is no PvP component to this game. So you don't need to rely on other people. You don't need to engage in combat against other people. It is strictly participating in the story against the computer. And overall, that is the theme of the achievements. They are very straightforward. Most of them, the vast majority of achievements for this game, are just take one of the characters. They call them classes, but each class pretty much only relates to one single character, and it's get a certain number of kills with that character. Your siege archer is Eurissa. You need to get 3 kills with your siege archer. That means you need to get 3 kills with Eurissa. They are very reasonable and very predictable, and not at all a trouble to accomplish during your multiple playthroughs. There are, however, some achievements that are a little more challenging, and they are based on a goal for the entire playthrough. Requirements are about 3 playthroughs if you are efficient. You could, I think, do it in 2, but it would be miserable, and you could do it certainly in more, 4 or 5 if you wanted to take it easy. But if you are reasonably planned and efficient and you find a guide and you try to use it, you can get this done in 3 complete runs through the story from start to finish. And one of those runs does need to be on the hardest difficulty. So that is a little more challenging, but nothing that you can't overcome, especially if you play through on easy first, play through on normal second. You'll get a feel for the combat, and the added difficulty from hard mode won't be too bad. So as I said, each of those achievements that I mentioned are focused on an end run. It would be something like get to the final city very quickly. As you're walking in the overmap, days are passing by, and dialogue choices that you make can cause you to go faster or slower. You might wait a day. You might take the long way around an obstacle, which will all add time, but may save a battle or may save some other hardship on the party. One of the achievements is to get to that final city really, really quickly. So you need to know all the dialogue choices that you have to make to go as fast as possible and overcome the challenges that go along with it. Another one is to never drop into low morale. The faster you go, the worse it is for your morale. Resting improves morale. So these two are kind of they're exclusionary. You can't really go as fast as possible and not get the low morale, because if you're pushing so hard, your morale is going to take a hit. So that's why there's the multiple playthroughs needed. These some of these end run achievements conflict with one another. So the most annoying achievement of the bunch that I found throughout the run, I'm going to go with High Spirits. And that is, as I mentioned, it's complete the game never having your party or your caravan, they call it, never have your caravan drop into low morale. That's the worst of the morale settings. There's like great and good and okay and then low. And the reason that it's the most annoying or the most frustrating is that because the Banner Saga has this really interesting mechanic where it will remember things even if you go back and reload an earlier save. This is so interesting and I hate it, but I have to tip my hat because it's something that you just don't see. And normally you could just not worry about this kind of thing. If you, let's do this low morale achievement. If you weren't paying attention or you picked the wrong dialogue option and just for 1 second, your morale for the caravan dips low. And then you're like, ah, crap, I messed that up. I need to go back and redo that previous choice. I need to pick B instead of A, and then I would have been fine. If you reload your checkpoint to before that decision gets made, right? So you made the decision, the morale hit low, oh, I messed up. You reload the checkpoint and redo the decision, and now, oh, you're fine. You never dip into low morale for the rest of the run. The game remembers that it happened, and then you reloaded the save. So that run is tainted when you hit that low morale, and it's gone. You can't get it back. So you can imagine that would be really frustrating. If you are getting close to the end of the run, you make one little wrong mistake or wrong decision and you don't catch it in time, and now your run is borked and you have to do the whole thing all over again. And that stays with this game throughout. There are some interesting achievements in the later entries of the series where making that kind of decision is very costly. So if you know a mistake is coming for one of these achievements, and you stop early and just reload to a checkpoint before hitting the negative condition, if you almost get to low morale, but you stop real quick and reload the checkpoint and it never happened, that's fine. But once it hits, the condition is lost. So that to me is the most annoying achievement in the game, but it comes into play for more than just that one achievement. And then the most difficult achievement, I'm gonna pick Master Tactician. This is it requires that you win a training battle, which isn't that big of a deal, but you have to do it on hard difficulty. Again, not that big a deal, but you have to do it using a team of all 6 characters. So you can have up to 6 members of a party fight in a single battle at a time. All 6 of the members of this team must be level 5, which is rank 5, which is the maximum rank for this game. And that requires a very, very specific set of circumstances throughout the entire run. I think there's only 6 characters you can do this with. I forget, it's been a while since I actually did my playthrough of the game. There might be 1 character that you can sub out, and I have a whole achievement guide dedicated to this, so if you want specifics, go check out that other video. But basically, there's only 6 characters that you can really pick from, and that means you have to focus on them early and often, and everything you need to do, you have to get them all the way up. You have to maximize their battles, you have to maximize their kills, you have to jump through all of these hoops so that those 6 characters arrive, and then you only have this really short window when all of those characters are together before you reach the end of the game where the training camp gets lost, and then you can't do it. So it is an entire run of the game focused on this one thing that requires absolute perfection, and dedication. And again, hardness, difficultiness isn't that bad. It's just the fact that you need to constantly be aware of what you're doing. Every decision has to be the right one. Every battle has to go just right, or you could fall just short. And if you get all the way to the end of the playthrough with this one goal in mind, and then you realize, oh wow, my last guy, my 6th member is only going to be rank 4, and I'm going to miss this achievement, and I have to redo it all over again, that stinks. So that to me is the most difficult achievement for the Banner Saga. So with all of that in mind, I had a couple of negative things at the end, but I always point out the most difficult and the most annoying achievements just so you have an idea of the biggest hurdle that you had to overcome. By no means is this game a difficult hurdle. The achievements were pretty clean. I don't think I really ran into any difficulty with the achievements. Sometimes they are a bit slow to unlock, which can be a little nerve-wracking when you do the thing and you don't get the immediate pop. But I don't think I had any trouble with the achievements in this game in terms of not unlocking when I thought they should or when I deserved them. Again, other than that one little quirk where if you mess up the condition and then you reload and you think you're okay, you're not. That is built into the game, and that will always happen that way in this series. So overall, I am giving this game an 8 out of 10 for the achievement score. It is doable. It is rewarding to play through the game, an interesting game, an interesting story. It is kind of dark and depressing, but it's a different kind of game, a little bit slow, a little bit tactical, very strategic. So I had a ton of fun with it. I played the whole series. I 1,000 Gamerscored the whole series, so I was definitely a fan, and it did not deter me from completing it for this game. And I don't think it should deter you either if this is the kind of game that looks interesting to you. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. Good luck if you go for the 1,000 Gamerscore in the Banner Saga. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time.